All right, welcome everybody to our first monthly Executive Career in Transition Roundtable for the Austin San Antonio chapter of ACG. So my name is Tom Singer, and along with Teri Villanueva, we are co-chairing this program that we have seen several other ACG chapters do, where they bring together a chance for executives, director level, VP level, and C-level executives who are in a career transition come together to be able to network, make some connections, and also have a little bit of education on different topics that might be crossing the mind of people who are looking at making some sort of a change or are already in the midst of that career transition. So we're going to try and do this every month, but we want to make sure that everybody who's participating takes the time to tell their friends what this is about. And again, this is a resource for people in Austin and San Antonio who are in that career transition. They do not have to be ACG members, but ACG is supporting this. Typically, as we grow this, we're going to try and limit attendance to only people who are currently in transition or who are ready to, admit that it's time to make that change and want to participate. First couple meetings, we've kind of got it open to a bunch of our members and participants. No one is here to sell anybody something. We're not trying to have this organization or this program be in competition with any business coaches or anyone else who supports people who are in transition. We just want to be just an additional resource and a place to network, because I believe that all opportunities in life come from people. And if we're not allowed to go out in person during these crazy times of the last year of this pandemic, we still need to be able to bring people together. And I think the Austin chapter of Austin San Antonio chapter of ACG has done an amazing job through the year of holding some events where people can come and make connections. And we just want to have another format specifically on those people who are in transition. So again, my name is Tom Singer. I work for a company called Stanton Chase International. It's an executive search firm, but I don't work with the people who are in transition. My job is solely with companies who are looking to fill those positions. So I don't have anything to sell to anybody. My co-chair is Teri Villanueva, and she's actually going to be our speaker today. And she works for a company called Frannet, and they're consultants for people who are looking at the option of franchising. And I thought, as we were kicking this off, that's actually a topic that really matters to people who are in transition, because some people may have thought, maybe I should go out and do something on my own. Maybe I should be here. Maybe I should be looking into what franchising even means. And so I asked Teri if she would be our first speaker, just to share some base information for people who might be wanting to look at that as a potential option for their transition. So Teri, thanks for being the co-chair of this program and for being the first speaker.
Thank you, Tom. It's my pleasure to be here, and welcome to everyone here. So today I'm going to talk about 20 minutes or so about franchising. I'll show my slides in a minute. Definitely I'm going to, at the end, ask any questions, but along the way, if there's something you want me to pause or stop in that particular slide, you have a question, please feel free to be interactive and stop me. We don't have to wait till the very end.
And if people use the chat, if people will use the chat room, I will actually monitor the chat room and actually keep on top of it to see if there's anything that we need to answer right away. So I'll be your eyes and ears of the chat room for you, Teri.
Thank you. That would be great. Here, let me see here. Okay, can you see my slides?
We sure can.
All right. So the topic of today is something that maybe you never thought of. Like Tom said, franchise ownership, is that possibly a career alternative? It might not be, but it might be something you might never knew about. So again, Teri Villanueva, I was in corporate America myself for over 30 years in the insurance industry. And I came to a crossroad where they wanted me to move out of state. And I was like, I don't think so. I love Texas. I love being near family. So I too had to decide, okay, do I do another corporate job in insurance, or do I do something on my own? So I came to the conclusion, now is the best time when you're kind of forced to it, right? I wouldn't have maybe done it ordinarily, but it's given me a great opportunity to span my wings or fly my wings and do something that I truly enjoy, helping other business owners. So that's what I did in my corporate job. I helped business owners with their business plans. I recruited agents, all facets of helping people with business ownership. So it was a perfect fit for me to go into this role. Just a little bit briefly about Frannet. So Frannet is a franchise consulting firm. It's been around 30 plus years. There's about over 100 people that do what I do across the country. We have a partnership with SCORE and SBDC, which are amazing resources for anyone looking at business ownership, whether it's a franchise or scratch, tremendous people to help you. So what I like to say is I'm a matchmaker. So I'm going to help you match with the best franchise that meets your needs. So I don't sell the franchise, but I introduce you to concepts the franchisor is going to sell you the franchise. And most importantly, our services are always 100% free to you, the client. So no charge to you. So imagine, you're an owner of a successful business. How would your life be better? So we always ask questions. We ask clients, what are you hoping business ownership does for your lifestyle, for your family? So they can kind of have that picture and dream. What would it mean to you? What would you like to get rid of in the career aspect, in corporate America, or the career pain? So it truly is a big deal, and we don't take it lightly. It's an investment in a business. So it's not a job change, it's a life change, right? It's completely different, and one that's going to impact not only you, but your family. So we always say your family needs to be on board. We want this to be a family decision because we realize how important it is, because it's not just going to affect you. Who are our clients? There's a lot of different people. So yes, a lot of our clients, we do speak at many outplacement firms. So we do talk to a lot of professionals in transition, but we also talk to people who say, I'm just tired of this rat race. I want to do something meaningful. I want to do something contributing to the community. I want to do something that I'm really passionate about, that I get up excited about. So they're not really forced to leave, but they want to leave to do something different. Others want the work-life balance and build maybe a net worth for retirement. So we see many different phases of people that looking at business ownership. So I guess the first question you would need to ask if you go down this route is why business ownership, right? Success means many things to many different people. For me, it was the flexibility to come and go, to do my own schedule, but also the financial security tied with money, that I'm not capped at a certain salary, that as hard as I work and as many clients as I bring on, that's going to be my reward. And so, I ask you to stop and think about what might it be for you, right? Because everybody has their own reason for business ownership. Some of the concerns of, maybe a job is safer, I'll just wait. It costs a lot of money to start. I don't know where to start, right? There's so many choices, and I don't have the skill sets. And we're going to touch on each of these later. So, the perception is a job is safe. Yes, but is it safe in the long run? So over time, can your performance actually determine your security? And we've seen that now, unfortunately, right? Starting last year and this year. So is the path you're on now going to meet your long-term financial goals for retirement? On the flip side, owning your business, of course, as I mentioned, it's scary. I mean, it'd be not normal, right? Not to be scared to pay, start that business, get the loan. But over time, so the risk is high, much unlike the job inversely, but over time, it does become, the risk decreases because it becomes safer the longer you have it. And you can grow it at the pace you want. And no one's going to take it away from you, right? Nobody's going to downsize, and most importantly, nobody's going to fire you. So the reality is, we've all played by the rule. The rules are changing, right? I played for corporate America for 30 plus years, but no longer is job security. So job security is a thing of the past. What you really want to strive for is income security, right? The income that I need to take me into my 70s and 80s and so forth. There's 3 different ways to get into business, and they're all viable ways. All 3 of them have pros and cons, right? You can start a business from scratch. Hey, I enjoy working on computers, so maybe I'll go into that field. Or you can go talk to a business broker, go to biz buy sell and buy an existing business. Or the third choice is buy a franchise. And that's kind of where my expertise, if that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit here today. So what are the advantages, or why do people buy a franchise? Well, you're going to get immediate name recognition and the trademark of the business. It's a proven business system that they've worked out the kinks. They've kind of almost perfected it to know exactly what you charge for this product or service, how you market, and so forth. All the details have kind of been pretty much laid out for you. So it's almost like a plug and play. You just need to execute. There is tremendous training and support, not just in the beginning, because of course that's important. They've got to train you on that specific industry or product or service, but throughout the life that you have with attached to the franchisor, because they have a vested interest in your success, right? Your success is their success. So they're going to make sure that they're there 100% for you. There is a lower failure rate with franchises. There's sometimes more financing options because the banks are aware of these concepts that have been around for a while. So they're more comfortable loaning money. The franchise disclosure document, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that is a document that the franchisor must complete every year. So it's updated every year. So it's a very transparent industry because they are regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. So this document is very important. And this is one, any prospect that is talking to a franchisor, just asking questions, they're going to, by law, they have to provide this document to you. And then you're part of a franchise family. It's, it's not just by yourself, but you have the support of others in your local area and across the United States. And every year, most of them have conventions where they all get together and they celebrate the top franchisees, and then they talk about best practices. So it's a wonderful family to be a part of. Now, what are the disadvantages? Well, there might be fewer industry options. There's territory restrictions, but sometimes that's a plus to me because no one else can come into your territory. Once you buy a specific area, no one's going to invade that area. But, there is some limitations there. And of course, you can't sell what you want. You've got to follow their system, right? So you have to be compliant with their process, their products, their services. You can't add another item to the menu list, right? And you do have ongoing royalty payments, and they're going to vary by franchise, anything from 4% to 10%, right? But that's all labeled in the franchise disclosure document that I mentioned. So a franchise really is a license to use the name, the trademark, the business, the products, in exchange for the initial franchise fee that you pay when you sign your contract and ongoing royalties. I wanted to cover a little bit the FDD, franchise disclosure document. Again, there's so much information in here. Some of the highlights under the cost area, it'll be itemized. The entire investment will be itemized so you know exactly what you're paying for. How much is training? How much is the equipment if I need any? How much is the marketing expense going to be? All of that is how much are the royalties? So there will be definitely no surprises. There's not going to be a surprise when you sign the contract, because this is a document we highly encourage you to get expertise, an attorney, either a franchise attorney or an attorney to review this with you. You'll also get a list of current franchisees and past franchisees that you'll get to talk to. Earnings claim, depending on how long the franchise has been around, you'll have earnings claims and financial statements. So a plethora of numbers, you have to see the numbers, right, to make a decision. If this is a viable business for you, you'll get to see that going through the process of discovery. I wanted to cover a few myths that maybe some of you came to today, right? Saying, oh, franchise, gosh, that's just food, right? I'm not really interested in food. So that's my first myth. But I'm here to tell you there's a lot more than food, right? Everybody thinks McDonald's or Burger King. Yes, those, are very well-established franchises, but there's over 3,600 different concepts in 90 industries. So you would be amazed. Clients are always amazed at, that's a franchise, when I start talking about different concepts. So there's automotive, there's business services, personal services, you name it, residential service, every kind of anything that a house would need to have fixed or worked on, there's a franchise for, okay? So there's a lot of choices to have when it comes to the industry. I heard this a lot. Well, is this a good time, right? The economic, do we need to wait and see? But I'll tell you, there's some businesses that thrive no matter what. The essential services have remained open, right? Your car breaks down, it has to get fixed. The automotive, hair care is kind of back up and running. You got to get, your hair done or fixed or cut, I should say. But the growing market, the one on the left by the demographics, I just saw an article that said these three, senior care and health, home services, and cleaning services, had the most growth in 2020. So they are continuing to do well. And if you go to the far right, there's some B2B businesses, and believe it or not, sign companies had their best year ever in 2020. So, and there's many sign companies out there, right? And I'm talking about the industry as a whole, as well as the digital marketing franchises, because why? People are doing things differently. People had to pivot. They had to recreate themselves digitally. So those are doing well as coaching types of franchises, because people need help, right? Myth number 2, franchises are expensive. Well, yes, they can be, right? But there's a range. So I would say on the lower end for me, the lowest I have is probably about 70,000, and it goes up to 700,000, right? But if you see on this chart, 28% of the franchise ranges are 100 to 250. I would say that is the sweet spot. That's a sweet spot for what we usually see. There's, of course, people that go over. Usually the franchises that require brick and mortar are going to be a little bit more expensive. There's a lot of home-based service businesses that don't require that, either a small office or work home-based, and it has no correlation to the return, the revenue you can make. So there's many choices in the investment range. And so what I like to do is ask my clients, where are you comfortable, right? Where are you comfortable? Most people, right, and it depends how most people fund through the SBA. The SBA is going to loan you about 70 to 75% of the total amount. So let's say it's 100,000, they'll loan you 75, and they want you to bring money to the table, right? The 25 to 30,000, okay? One thing before I talk about this slide, one thing about the SBAs, what they brought back in the stimulus package is that any loan approved February 1, so a few days ago, to September 30th, they're going to give the 6 months of forgiveness. I don't know if you remember last year, for any loan, they gave 6 months of payment relief. They brought that back. So if you get a loan between now and September 30th, you will have 6 months of payment relief. That's capped at $9,000 per month, right? And they're also waiving the guarantee fee. So on a $350,000 loan, as an example, that could be a savings of $30,000 when you consider the monthly P&I and the guaranteed fee. So they're continuing, they're wanting people to own businesses, so they brought that back, which was a good thing. Also, some people don't know that you can use your retirement funds without taxes and penalties. Now, I am definitely not an expert in this area, and I don't talk to my clients about it, but we have experts that do. But there is a way that you can establish a corporation, move your either some or all of your 401k money into a new corporation and purchase stock in the corporation. And then your corporation now has that capital that you've transferred to start your business. Now, the experts have to do it because you have to follow the letter of the ERISA law, right? This is not something to take lightly. It has to be done correctly, but it is a way some people don't know about. So you can infuse some of that cash injection using your 401k. And currently I have a client that's using all of he's got a quite substantial, and he's using all of it to start his business. He was a controller for a business, and now he's going to open, guess what, a sign company. So in San Antonio. So he's on board and going to use that way to fund his entire business. Myth number 3, industry experience is required. Absolutely not, right? They don't want you to have experience in it because guess what? You're going to be working in the business, not on the business, right? They want you to focus on being the owner and bring all of those skills you brought from corporate America, your management skills, your leadership, communication, marketing, sales. That's what they want. They're going to train you very much in detail. So a lot of people, okay, so how do I start? Like Tom said earlier, there's so many choices, right? You can go on the internet and say, oh, what's out there? But what's going to come up at the top is whatever's a paid ad. And then further down, you might find other ideas. So there is a better way to search for a business, right? Than just the internet, or kind of like analogy of a vending machine to say, well, which one do I pick? How do I know? So finding the perfect fit, this is kind of my role that I do, is asking clients, are you willing to follow the franchisor system? Is it affordable for you and your family? Is the risk level something you're comfortable with and it's acceptable to you? And will you enjoy it, right? Those are the things that we try to find out. So again, going back originally, so what is important to you, right? That's going to make a huge difference in which type of business or franchise that you be most successful in, right? Are you looking for building equity? Is it making a contribution to your community? Is it, challenge? What is it that what's going to be most important to you? And for everyone, that's different. One of the things we help people, and this could work even if you franchise or not, even if you want to start your own business, these are things to consider, right? Your business model. How many employees would you like to have, right? Or would you like to just be by yourself, like a coaching business, right? It's mainly you. Or do you want a business that has 5 employees, 10 employees? Do you want to be able to provide a service or a product? Do you want to be in a new kind of up and coming emerging industry, or do you want to be something very established? So these are, and then most importantly, the budget, right? The budget determines quite a bit. Having that conversation with your spouse in how much are we comfortable investing in a business, right? Whether it's a franchise or starting from scratch. And then most importantly, analyzing your transferable skills, like I talked about earlier. These are the things that are going to carry you into business ownership and make you successful, not your experience in the business, in that particular industry. Let's see. One of the things we do to help clients, let me go back to this here. So what I do as my role, right, is provide a safe discovery of the journey of learning about which franchise might fit for me. Number one, is this even a route for me? And if not, hopefully you learn something. But if it is a route, we provide an assessment. We do face-to-face meetings, or now Zoom, I should say face-to-face Zoom meetings. We build that business model I talked about, and then we help you get started on your research. And we also have professionals that can help you if you don't have any to go to, whether it's San Antonio or Austin. And we do this all free of charge. There's so many clients. I had some examples of, I had a consultant that moved to Austin from out of the country, and he opened in Austin, Texas. You'll need to go by and see him. It's called Chicken Cone. It's a quick service restaurant over off the drag. He just opened last couple of weeks ago. So, there's no rhyme or reason, right? Here's a consultant opening a quick serve, but for him, the business model made sense. He liked the owners. He thought that he'd get great support. So he's, starting that role. But there's also IT directors that have done home repair businesses, veterans that have opened a paint store or painting business. So all kinds. You'd be surprised at the different businesses that corporate executives get into. Here's my contact information. I'd love to, have a conversation or help you, maybe introduce you to others that could help along the journey. But right now I'd like to open it up, see if there's any questions.
So Teri, I have a question for you as I was listening, because I know a lot of people who, when they've been in transition, have looked at starting their own business, whether from scratch, whether opening their own consultancy, or looking at a franchise, who once they get to the other side, working for yourself isn't for everybody. Okay. How do you help people determine if being your own boss is going to be something that you wake up in the morning and go, yay, versus what have I done?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have, and I can put a questionnaire that we ask people to fill out, what do you want business ownership to do? Like, what is it that you want to move away from, right? Understanding maybe some pain points, right? And do they have the risk comfort level, right? In if they didn't make any money, a big thing, Tom, too, is talking through the money part, right? Although sometimes it's uncomfortable, but hey, you know, as most businesses, whether you start from scratch or a franchise, you might make very little to nothing in that first year. You're building. Are you comfortable with that? Do you have a spouse that can continue the household expenses while you're building this? And sometimes it's just timing, Tom. They say, well, let me save up more money. I'm not quite there yet. So we're also sometimes, you know, we go through and we have that initial call and I have to turn people down because they're not financially ready yet, but they want to come back. And so we stay in touch. So it's having those honest conversations, right? Because the last thing we want to do is have someone get into this barely, you know, with barely enough money. We want them to be really solid and their spouse, you know, the spouse on board, most definitely.
Sure. Also, you can unshare your screen and then we'll put it back onto full screen. And we've got just a few people in the room. So instead of doing breakout rooms, what I'd like to do is kind of have everybody pop in if they have any questions. They can turn their cameras on and unmute themselves if they have something that they want to ask.
Terry, hi, this is Mike McConnell in Austin. Hey, I'm just curious. So the franchises that you've been helping folks, you know, purchase, could you give examples of 3 or 4 that over the past year or two that have been very successful? I'm just curious what you see out there that are really good franchises.
That's a great question. And so I'm in my starting my 3rd year, Mike. And so my very first client, you know, it took a while to get the business started because of the Austin requirements and finding the brick and mortar. But the first one was a chicken cone that he just started. So I don't have any results on that. But all I heard was business was booming on Saturday when he had his first day opening. But I get to see around the country which franchises are being picked up because we will get a notification. So-and-so got a chicken cone, and then that's the name of it, has done well. Clean Eats, there's others that are a clean eating type of franchise. So it's not really a restaurant. Anything in the health industry, I would say. Coaching, oh my goodness. I've seen a lot of coaching franchises pop up since last year. The digital marketing space, anything in the home arena, whether it's pool cleaning, remodeling of the kitchen, anything that does with the home. People are now wanting these things because they're home more. So that business has taken off. So, and they've done well. Oh, a junk removal company, believe it or not, right? Because why? People are moving, people are downsizing. They're doing fantastic. So it kind of goes with the trend of what you're seeing, right? Baby boomers are downsizing. People are, you know, just moving around. And so that business has taken off. So lots of good examples.
Great.
Answered your question.
Thank you.
So there was a comment that was left. Somebody was saying, why would someone from ACG ever want to look at a franchise? But I know from talking to you before we planned this, that a lot of executives in transition look at starting their own business or doing a franchise. How popular is it for somebody who maybe worked for a Fortune 1000 company when they get laid off to say, yep, I'm going into this world?
Very much so. Like I said, we, Frannet with Lee Hecht Harrison, what are some other ones? CPI. We have relationships with these outplacement companies, and that's who comes to a lot of these meetings, right? Or subscribe based on the company. So many examples. I would say the majority of people, Tom, if not, 60 to 70% are coming from that high level. That either they're going to go full time, all in, or there's a semi-absentee model where they can keep what they're doing, but they're planning for the future. They hire a manager to run the business, right? They're keeping, and then maybe they want to leave. They want to stick around with their company 3 more years, 5 more years, and then they've got something growing already. So there's 2 choices. You can either go all in, leave what you're doing. You can continue your role and hire a manager. So I would say many of the people that move quickly through the process are those in transition at the corporate level. And they have the ability, they have the funding to do it, right? It's not as much of an issue. They're financially secure, and they just have to make the decision.
So Jim or Paul, any questions before we do kind of a quick round of networking?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
I don't know if you can hear me. I'm on my phone because my computer's in my docking station, and I'd be on my knees if I opened up to go down there. I wanted to listen in because a lot of my clients are folks who sometimes go through the process of looking for a career. Many of them are trying to buy a company, but I've had through the years lots of folks suggest that maybe they were looking for a franchise. It just seems like there's so much marketing, make millions from your home, that kind of thing. Where can you go for credible information to begin due diligence? Is there a source where you can really vet these guys? I know you said there's the disclosure document everybody provides.
Yes, I hear it too, like on Sirius XM and some others, right? Part of the process, I think the beauty of the process, because you can see a lot of things on the internet, right? And what do you believe? So the value of the discovery is talking to the owners once you get into the process, is because they're going to tell it like it is, right? The franchisor is going to paint a picture, but then when you get down to the nitty gritty of the owners, and you can pick who you talk to, you don't have to go with who they tell you to. You can look it up and pick, right? So get the high performers, the medium, and the low performers. And that's where you're going to get the true data. But in the chat, I will put my consultant page. And on that consultant page, Paul, there's a tab called franchises. And you can look at all the different industries, and it has different investment ranges to give you an idea of what's out there. I don't have all of them that's listed, but I have a good number of them. But I'll be glad to put my consultant page, and you're glad to peruse and see the different concepts. You'd be amazed. And also it gives you an investment range. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Jim, anything to add?
No, I'm just curious. I'm actually friends with Stephen Maker. If you know him, he's Frannet based in Houston.
Oh, okay. I don't know him.
Well, Teri, thank you for jumping in and being our first presenter for this this new program. I think it's going to take us several months to sort of grow it and get the word out that we're doing it, and have people get their friends who are in transition out there. So I think that at this time, I want to thank all of the ACG annual sponsors who make everything that ACG does so possible. And that is Weaver, Dykema, Insperity, and Hire Better. So thank you to all the sponsors who keep ACG running strong and offering a ton of great programs all throughout the year. And so I think with that, we can probably stop the recording and we can move to sort of some just free flow networking with those of us who are in the room. So you can turn on your camera.